Well, today is January 11th of 2026. I'm Jay Essen, and it's been about 3 weeks since I last streamed any games on here. So I am easing back in with something very small and quick because these weekends have been busier than anticipated. Today I have selected a Ryan Veeder game to play called Nest. Let's see. Nest is an Enigmarch puzzle by Ryan Veeder. Release 1, serial number 230302, Inform 7, version 10.1.2. Campsite. The sun is rising, the cook fire is extinguished, your sleeping bag is all rolled up. The day is just beginning, as is your long journey of discovery. Dusty trails lead in the 4 cardinal directions. Let's type about. And our about text here is, thank you for playing Nest. I wrote it in about 7 hours for day 2 of Enigmarch 2023. The prompt was Nest. Learn more about Enigmarch at https://enigmarch.com and find my other Enigmarch puzzles at peoplemaking.games/@rcveeder. This game was tested by nobody. I had to make it fast. Let's examine me. You look down at yourself. You recognize your own body with all of its familiar features. It's you. I don't know who you are or what you look like. Sometimes I call you dude, but in a purely emphatic, gender-neutral way. I check my inventory. You are carrying nothing. Let's examine the sun. The sun is still close to the horizon. And the cook fire? Only ashes remain in the fire pit. I tried to take the ashes. That's not something you want to carry around. Sleeping bag. The bedroll is tied up tight. If I try to take it, it's not something I want to carry around either. Well, let's examine Dusty Trail. Let's move the cat that is standing in front of the computer monitor. She didn't like that. She is hissing at the other cat. Okay. The 4 trails start at your campsite, each one roughly aligned to one of the cardinal directions, north, east, and so on. To follow a trail, one might type, for example, go north, or in. Let's try going north. North is the Cave of Yesterdays. You have entered the Cave of Yesterdays, where lurk the hoary shadows of the past, obscured within the murky mists of time. The exits from this cave are east and south. A huge key lies on the stone floor. Hey, wasn't yesterday's Enigmarch prompt key? This must be that key. Let's examine the key. The key is about 5 feet long, but it's still light enough to carry. I'll take it. You awkwardly lift the huge key and begin carrying it under your arm like a huge baguette. Let's go east from here to Mountain Pass. Between the mountains to the north, there is only one narrow passage, guarded by a towering robotic sentinel. More accessible paths lead in the other cardinal directions. Let's examine this sentinel. The robot is 3 stories tall. Its massive hands of living stone could crush you like a sandcastle. It is staring down at you with its gigantic robotic eyes. Hello? You call up to the robot, but it doesn't respond. What happens if we go north? As soon as you approach the mountain pass, the giant robot activates. It leans down and pushes you away. And then it wags its finger at you, as if to say, don't try that again, puny human. I am going to try that again. Okay, well, it just does the same exact thing, and we could probably do that all day to no effect. Let's give key to robot. The huge key is of no concern to the robotic sentinel. Show key to robot? Talk to robot. It's the same text again. We call up hello, and it does not respond. Okay. Well, we can't go north. Let's go east again, then. To the graveyard. One large tombstone stands near the cemetery's entrance, over a patch of recently turned earth. From here, you can go south, or you can go the opposite of east. What a curious way to say that. Let's examine the tombstone. Which do you mean, the graveyard or the large tombstone? I'm going to say the graveyard. There are hundreds of graves in this cemetery. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about most of them right now. That's odd. Do you hear something buzzing? I listen. There's definitely an intermittent buzzing noise around here. Seems like it's coming from under the ground. Weird. I check the dirt. The grass has not yet grown over the grave of the Hornet King. There's that buzzing sound again. Can I dig? You have nothing with which to dig. If we go west... What is this west you speak of? We don't have west around here. The opposite of east is something else entirely. What is that noise? Can we go opposite of east? That's not a verb I recognize. Can we go backwards? You can't see that, or it's not implemented. Go not east. No, okay. We can still go south to the prairie. What a lovely prairie this is. What a lovely day this is. But your journey is not yet over. Paths across the grass lead in all the cardinal directions. Can we go west? You keep bringing up this west thing. It's not going to work, buddy. The opposite of east is something else. Can we go nest? No. Nest is not a verb. I wonder. Something about the initials N-E-S-T suggest you can't refer to the opposite of east with an abbreviation. That's completely disrespectful. Okay, so whatever the opposite of east is, it starts with a T. Test? I see what you're trying to do. I had the same idea, actually. But no, the opposite of east is not test. Fair enough. Now let's look once more. Examine paths. Path? Nope. What a lovely prairie this is. Examine the prairie. The grass glitters beneath the sun like a pretty girl's hair or something. I have to finish this entire game today. Alright, well, let's go south then. This is the Hornet Kingdom. You have crossed over into the realm of the Hornets. Best be careful. The Hornet Vizier is here, supervising his subjects. Keep up the good work, he drones. Exits from the Hornet Kingdom lead north and the opposite of east. I guess let's go north then. Actually, let's go south and let's talk to Vizier. You approach the Vizier gingerly. It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Excellency, you say. He ignores you. You guys are doing great, he tells his subjects. There's a mechanical sort of whirring in his voice. Just fantastic. Odd. Let's examine his subjects. The citizens of the Hornet Kingdom are all very busy. Too busy to talk to you. Well, we go back to the prairie and I guess go east from here. East Pole. You have reached the East Pole. The great bird of the east sits atop the pillar in her giant nest. There's nowhere to go from here but the opposite of east. Let's examine the great bird of the east. You raise your hands in supplication. "O great bird," you cry, "I beseech your aid." "What is it?" she asks. "I must know what the opposite of east is," you lament. "Please, please help me." "I can't just tell you that," says the great bird of the east, "but I guess I can give you a clue. The opposite of east is 4 letters long." You bite your lip. "What if I still don't know what the opposite of east is? How can I leave this place?" "I guess you have to start the game over," says the bird. "I think the command for that is restart." You take stock of this. The opposite of east is not tart. Is it tent? No. Let's restart. Are you sure you want to restart? Yes. We are once again at our campsite. This time let's go south to the abandoned mine. The once verdant valley below has been peeled away to bare rock. When the veins of ore dried up, the miners disappeared, and now no living thing remains. The scene is beautiful, but in a sad, eerie way. You can go north or east from here. Someone left their shovel here. Let's examine that shovel. It's a sturdy old shovel. We'll take it. And now let's go north, and go north again to take the key. Okay. This time, let's go east from the mine to the colossal gate. A massive gate of carven granite bars the way southward. Paths in the other cardinal directions are available as well. Let's examine that gate. The stone doors are carved with images of muscular giants and giantesses, erecting cyclopean monuments and wrestling with dragons and stuff like that. I wish we could get into the details of the history of this setting, but I'm afraid it'd distract you from the puzzle. To get back on track, this colossal gate has an appropriately gigantic keyhole. Well, unfortunately, we have a colossal key. You unlock the colossal gate. Let's open it. You open the colossal gate. Let's go south. To the South Pole. You have reached the South Pole, atop which the great bird of the south sits in her giant nest. There's nowhere to go from here but north. Let's talk to the great bird. You bow to the great bird of the south, and she favors you with a warm smile. "What is it you seek, my child?" "I am on a quest," you explain. "A quest to learn. What is the opposite of east?" "This is a noble quest, my child. Would that I could grant you your question's answer, but that is impossible, my child. It is within my power only to tell you this. The opposite of east comes from trees." Do you mean like if I rearrange the letters in trees, I'll get the opposite of east? Something like that? No, my child. I mean it literally comes from trees. You consider this. I have an idea at this point about what the opposite of east might be, but I'm not ready to test my hypothesis just yet. Let's go north. And north again. Here's a mosaic. A map of the known world is laid out on the ground here, rendered in thousands of tiny, shiny tiles. It must have taken forever to put together. We should take a second to appreciate how hard somebody worked to build this world for us. Okay, that's long enough. Anyway, one corner of the mosaic is taken up by an ornate compass rose. Speaking of which, from here you can travel in any of the cardinal directions. Well, let's examine that compass rose. The compass rose is a beautiful four-pointed star, decorated with the letters N, E, S, and, as suspected, T. Well, let us examine the world. Looking over the map, you recognize its illustrations of the cave of yesterdays, the campsite, the abandoned mine, the mosaic, the Colossal Gate, and the South Pole. There are other vistas depicted here, but you haven't seen them in person before, this time around at least. Let's go north. Here's that sentinel again. Let's go east to the graveyard. Let's dig. You thrust your blasphemous shovel into the earth and lift away the still warm clods which bury the Hornet King. In only a few hours the grave is open again, and the royal casket cut from glassy crystal is uncovered. Inside is the Hornet King, not resting in peace, but alive and buzzing. "Well done, adventurer," he warbles, "but your errand is only half finished. You must return me to my kingdom, that I may oust my usurper." So you pick up the casket. Let's go south. The prairie again. What a lovely prairie this is. South once more. Hornet Kingdom. You have crossed over into the realm of the hornets. Best be careful. The Hornet Vizier is here, supervising his subjects. "Keep up the good work," he drones. Exits from the Hornet Kingdom lead north and the opposite of east. "Perfidy!" bellows the Hornet King. He smashes his crystal casket from inside and leaps forward to face the Hornet Vizier. "Your subterfuges are at an end," he mutters. And then he screams in the Hornet Vizier's face. Sparks fly out of the Hornet Vizier's head. He starts clicking and beeping and kernel panicking, and then he explodes in a shower of gears and wires. "He was a robot," you observe. "Indeed," says the Hornet King. "I realized too late. But he had the same weakness shared by all robots. He could not abide the sound of screaming. The robot hasn't been built that can survive a good scream." That's good to know, you say. So, we can scream to disable a robot. Here we are at the graveyard again. Well, if you have any guesses as to what the opposite of east might be, you should download the game and try it yourself, because I suspect I am about to answer this question correctly. Let's find out. 3, 2, 1. Now you're getting it. Mountain Pass. Between the mountains to the north, there is only one narrow passage, guarded by a towering robotic sentinel. More accessible paths lead in the other cardinal directions. We scream. You scream as loud as you can. The giant robot tries to cover its ears, but it's too late. Your screams echo through the mountains. They penetrate the sentinel's innermost circuitry. You hear a hollow popping sound. And then the robot slumps over, and the light goes out of its massive eyes. We go north, to the North Pole. You whistle a jaunty tune as you walk past the giant robot. North Pole. You have reached the North Pole, atop which the great bird of the north sits in her giant nest. There's nowhere to go from here but south. We talk to the bird. You kneel before the great bird of the north. She opens her beak and shrieks. "You have done well to reach this place, adventurer." "Thanks," you say meekly. "And how would you avail yourself of my great wisdom?" she cries. "Ask, human, and I shall answer." "O great bird of the north," you cry, "I wish only to know what the opposite of east is." She smiles smugly. "I can hardly answer that," she clucks, "but I can tell you this. The opposite of east ends in G." You gaze up at her in awe. We go south. We'll go east and east. Let's go south once more, east once more. We talk to this bird. We twig exactly to the prairie, and we twig to the mosaic. Examine the mosaic. Or the map. We recognize the illustrations of the Cave of Yesterdays, the campsite, the abandoned mine, the North Pole, the mountain pass, the mosaic, the Colossal Gate, the South Pole, the graveyard, the prairie, the Hornet Kingdom, and the East Pole. There are other vistas depicted here, but you've never seen them in person before, this time around at least. I guess I still can't just T, so we'll twig, and we'll twig once more. The twig pole. You have reached the twig pole. At the very top of the twig pole is a giant nest. In that nest sits the great bird of the twig. There's nowhere to go from here but the opposite of twig. We talk to this bird. Finally, you collapse to your knees before the great bird of the twig. I made it, you rasp, with what little breath is left in your lungs. Well done, says the great bird of the twig. I knew you'd twig it eventually. Then she explains, the verb twig can mean, like, realize or understand. Oh, you say. Good job. Would you like to restart, restore a saved game, quit, or undo the last command? This has been a delightful little return to streaming. I am going to go ahead and call that good for our day. So thank you so much for watching along with me, and we'll be back again soon.